Yo, welcome to the Elite Table Talk, where we unpack health professionals, business owners, entrepreneurs, and just everyday people, and looking at their lifestyle, their mindset, their routines, and we see what they have done to help them move forward and really just get more time back in the day. You know, most people say there's 24 hours in the day, but there's really 16 because we sleep for 8. But how do we get the most of those 16? So grab a pen, get some paper, let's make some notes. Let's see what we can get from this episode today. Let's go. Yo, welcome to the Elite Table Talk. Yes, it is Kosta, the man who was in the first episode of the Table Talk. So we've leveled up, and therefore Kosta's gone, well, you better get me back. So we've had a bit of back and forth, and today's episode is about being elite, but from a general perspective and also from an athletic perspective. And the best person to ask is the coach, and Kosta is that coach. How are you, sir?
Very good, Karl. Rewinding back the clock. Let's do it.
Yeah. When we were just young whippersnappers, well, I was, a few followers, and now we've got a few more.
Just building and building and building. That's what it's all about. Just doing those daily actions.
Have you any new habits or any new rituals, that's gone from a year ago where you were doing, you had 747 as a training facility, and now you are someone who's kind of sought after in the sporting community. So you're doing events, going to actually sporting teams and coaching and training them.
Yeah, look, that's been part of our brand and part of our for the last 10 years. So I've been working with sporting clubs and athletes for pretty much 10 years now, and I've had the gym for 13. So I think it took about 3 to 4 years to really crack into the athlete development and doing a lot of study and, being overseas, seeing how people do it over there, which gave me a great insight of how things are run and what I can do to bring it back here, then make it probably one of the best possible programs, because I saw a massive gap in the market.
Yeah. Wow. What was the first few years like for you, as you were doing that?
Look, my athlete development doesn't really exist in the private sector. So what I mean by that is people don't take it serious. So obviously probably, and it's still to this day, but it's more, people are more open to it. I had to kick the doors down pretty much of clubs and get them to give me a chance they can see what I do and what I bring to the table, because, junior athlete development, there's obviously, you got seniors. When you go to a sporting club, you've got the seniors getting looked after, but not the juniors. And like juniors, they don't get told how to warm up. They don't get told how to cool down. They don't teach you how to jump, how to land, how to accelerate, how to decelerate, how to change direction effectively. They don't teach you injury prevention strategies. They don't teach you recovery protocols. They don't teach you about right nutrition. So these are things on top of my head that I could see there was such a gap that needed to be made, and it needed someone to, look after it. So when I first went into clubs, people going, "You serious? You're coming here for this? There's no need. Why would you teach my son how to run? You just runs. You get him on the pitch and he just runs. So who are you trying to tell my son you're gonna make him faster?" Like the people actually sitting there telling me, "You're taking the piss out of me." But I knew deep down that there was a need for it.
Yeah.
And a lot of, kids don't know how to run. They don't know how to plant their feet. You know what I mean? They don't know about arm drive. They don't know how their legs should look like. So even from a point, I've had so many junior athletes, so many young people come to me. They've been to a physio, they've been to a mine, they're getting a lot of severus pain. If you guys have heard of that, it's pretty much heel pain. They've tried everything, but the thing is, when they're running, they're landing on their heels at all times. So they're just a basic, running fundamental that hasn't been taught. And I've got parents calling me saying, "Oh my God, my kid didn't get any pain." 2 weeks later, they'll look at me like as a god. I'm not really the god. The truth is, I'm just doing everything. I'm just really doing everything that I know that I can do to make an impact. And this is why I'm so passionate about this subject, because, at sporting clubs, you don't get teach how to land. When do you get hurt? You don't get hurt when you're up in the air. You get hurt when you hit the ground. So if you can teach basic fundamentals of how to do things properly, and clubs as well, you don't have to always keep searching for players and having so many injuries. How many posts do we see on social media as we are looking to fill out teams? We're looking for 4 players. It's only been 3 weeks in. Do you know what I mean? You get this right. You set up protocols, you do well-being checks, you do wellness checks, and things will start to flow. Do you know what I mean? And then the good thing is it's such a good retention tool for the clubs. But a lot of clubs don't see the value, in hiring an S&C coach. Because at the end of the day, like what I do and a lot of the high-level people do, it's the basics that work. And let's be honest, what I do doesn't look sexy on the pitch. People go, oh, you're just teaching them how to, it's a bit of jumping, bit of landing, but there's so much detail and so much you need to learn, to get it right, keep you injury-free, keep you playing longer, and then giving you all the tools that you need. And the thing is, like if you're a sport athlete and you're growing up, it's not just for your sport. You got school athletics. Do you know what I mean? You can take this to your 100-meter sprint, your 200, your 400s, your long jump, your triple jump. Cross-country events. You get this right, and it's not just for one sport as well, like athlete development, like we were just speaking about. So you can take this into anywhere. I know this is just, we've kind of gone a bit off topic, but there's so much like value of why clubs should be hiring an S&C coach.
It's really interesting to say that, because I think back to when I was, I'm just a bigger kid now, so I was going to say when I was a kid, so 20 years ago, so like back when we started in clubs, it was, run up the pitch, run back down, and every so often you would see people blowing out, like as kids, like out of breath, suck it up, push harder, and then we'd just go into drills. So I guess for someone who's thinking like, for everyone, I've got kids, they're putting in sporting groups, and they're looking at what the thing is, what's worked has worked. Every 2 out of 50 kids will make it, but if you gave them the opportunity, like taught them the fundamentals, like we had a 33-year-old in today, and she couldn't even squat. I was like, what do you mean? And so we had to, as you were saying, it's not just one time, like hips back and you'll be fine. You've actually got to reteach them and correct the movement pattern that they've done for the last 33 years. You got to try to undo that in like one go. It's never going to work. So to that, I guess question one I would ask is, if I'm a parent or someone who's in a sporting team that doesn't have a strength and conditioning coach, what could I be doing to help myself? And then what could I be doing to help my teammates? So we don't have us in 20, 30 years time struggling to squat with back pain, knee pain, and having to spend the money to correct all these problems.
Yeah, look, number one, the club that you're part of or the coach should be looking at investing into an athlete development, strength and conditioning coach. There's so many words now that, as you can see, like they're getting thrown around, like high performance, strength and conditioning, athlete development coach. Like everyone's just making up their own titles.
Aqua development coach?
Athlete development.
Okay, athlete development. Aqua development.
But it's, that's you.
Hey, I did do aqua aerobics.
You've killed me.
Did it for 2 weeks, and then I sunk like a brick, and I was like, I can't do this.
Obviously, the coach, the club should be looking at it to invest, and then put a program in place for the whole club, because the juniors are the future of your club. So you want to be putting as much effort as you can into them to set up a good foundation and keep them at the club and keep them there. Because the club's giving them something different to another. Ever. Club hero.
I mean, yes. So, are you, so invest in your juniors, obviously, because they'll stay with you for longer. But me personally, it's like I'm 10 years old. I've got a 10-year-old, he's a junior. Like I build him up in 5 to 10 years time. He could be playing at a much higher level, say soccer, going pro. We've got gait, squat, lunge, twist, push, pull, like the standard 7 movements, are you just assessing, and then you've got jump, like you're adding jumping to that? Are there certain movements that you are assessing and think everyone should be doing to qualify people? For example, if I jump and I land on my heels, you're looking at that and going, you need to be practicing jumping more. So in the future, there's less probability of you getting injured. Like how do you test that?
And that's a foundation movement for me. Like what you just said, we've got the 7 movements. You got your squat, you got your lunge, you got your hip hinge. But then again, that's the general pop, and this is where it's different for an athlete. Because there's an athlete, like I said to you before, can an athlete jump? Can he land? Can he accelerate? Can he decelerate? Do you know what I mean? Does he know how to activate? Does he know how to mobilize? Does he know how to warm up? For me, they are the keys as well, part of those movements as well. Do you know what I mean? Because that is going to help him with long-term sporting success. And you can take that into any sport you want. And as we know, early stage specialization in sport is not the best, because what we want kids at a very young age to be playing different sports, because you pick up different motor skills.
Mm.
And once if you're playing basketball, you know what I mean? And then you play footy, you might play basketball in the off season, you play footy, in the winter. Do you know what I mean? Or you play footy, or soccer in winter, and then you play cricket for a summer sport, because you pick up different motor patterns.
Yeah.
And then if you've got, like an athlete development program, or if you've got an, S&C coach, that specializes in that, you know what I mean? It's a win-win, because you're building them up.
Mm. So from the sense of it, we've got a foundational 7 general movements, and then you've built something on top of that, which is more performance-based, but also you're then looking at, so Carl can't jump. Sure. You're then like, I'm going to teach this guy, but what something I can give him right now, I'll teach him how to mobilize so he can assist himself in recovery at home. So when he comes to me, we can focus on these, like accelerating, decelerating, and jumping.
Yeah, so you just give him. So what we do with juniors, when you teach them running, they're not going to improve overnight. So you rather.
Says you. My 10-year-old self could run faster by tomorrow.
Just yours
to begin with.
But yeah, so like giving them, like I give a lot of my athletes like documents, you know what I mean, on knowing how to warm up properly, knowing how to cool down efficiently, you know what I mean. That they're easy things, and it's easy for them to do by themselves. But when it comes to actually like learning how to run, you can't give them a few drills, because they'll do it wrong. Because you got to remember, when you learn a new skill, you got to retrain that pattern to be able to get it right.
Yeah.
So which is not going to happen overnight. So it's going to take practice and practice and practice. So the younger you start it, the better the foundation, the better it is for them. So when they take this into anywhere else, they know how to do it properly from a very young age.
Yeah.
Trying to train someone to know how to run at 25 years old is so bloody damn hard, because they've had injuries, you know what I mean? Their hip alignment, you know what I mean? And everything's just out of whack. But when you've got someone at such a young age, it's so much more easier to be able to set them up for long-term success.
Well, just on talking about senior people, love it, senior 25, with someone who's 25, 30, so you've mentioned junior, senior, then 25. Is there, what would you classify as a junior athlete versus a senior athlete?
Well, pretty much junior football. We start them as young as 9 years old in our gym. We've got a few 8-year-olds. Obviously they make sure they can comprehend and understand what we're trying to do. And then till about 15 years old, I think that's about junior development, because after that you start to push towards a senior environment. So I mean, even if you don't play, you most likely training with an higher age group. So I mean, when you get to that 16 years old, you want to start pushing to be playing at a higher grade, at a high level, and that will start to pushing you towards more into the senior environment.
Okay, so wow, senior 16 plus.
16. That's for me, as we know, like things have changed. You want to start be preparing for that. If injuries happen, people go on holidays, you get to call up, and you're 16 years old, you get told to play in the 18s or 20s or 23s, older age group. So you got to be prepared.
Yeah, wow. Well, that's pretty exciting though, playing 5 years up. So as a coach then for you, it sounds like we've got the juniors, we get to, we're molding the future. But then you've got 16 plus, and you're getting to, I get maybe it's the inner coach in me that's like, there's nothing. This is why I love training females, because I love training a female to lift more than the guy. It's like she's 50, he's 80 kilos. She should be weaker. She outlifts him. It's like, yes. Are you a bit like that with the seniors, where you're like, so we got tiny Karl, like 16, and he's going up at 23-year-old, and you're like, Karl is gonna crush him. Like, is that a little bit of you there, or?
Not really. I just love seeing more the young ones, like, because for me, it's not about how much weight they lift. Do you know what I mean? It's about them being able to do the technique properly and being able to generate force real quick, right? Because the way I see it is, winning is done fast, right? So train quick. The way I say it, train quick, get quick. Train slow, get slow. I know that we can change and we can fight this in the off season, time under tension and being able to work it. But what I'm trying to get everyone to understand is just have a lot of fast switch fibers to be able to generate as quick as possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Can we shoot that, the trap bar up, in record time on the way up? Obviously, we control the eccentric, but as we come up, we want to be able to move it as fast as we can. So for me, that's what I look for.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not a big fan, especially with athletes grinding out reps. Like that's, because that's not their sport. Their sport is out there. So you want them to be able, there's not really a need for them to be sitting there grinding out 3-4 reps, because, obviously that will cause, soreness. Do you know what I mean? And we don't want that, because my main goal is athlete development, high performance, whatever you want to call it, SNC, is being able to make them better on the field.
At aqua aerobics.
Aqua, as Carl say, aqua.
So, so obviously, sounds like the approach is really like, what is the sport? How explosive do I need to be? And at the end of the day, the quicker you are, the better you are. So, with seniors being kind of ranked up, and potentially having some trait, like maybe they've had another coach and the performance they have is a bit slower. So you obviously have a system in place where you're like, build speed. Do you prefer to have a junior athlete who's fresh to mold, or do you prefer the senior athletes where maybe they haven't had any coaching, they've built some bad habits, yet there's probably is there more discipline there? Like,
look, juniors are hard because you build them. Juniors are easier, because you build them the foundation. They come to you and you teach them from day one. When you have a senior player and they've played at different levels, they've had multiple coaches, they've had different philosophies, they've been taught different, you know what I mean? They might be in an environment that they've never had an SNC coach, they've never been in a program, and they've been lucky enough they never had an injury. So then when you try to, when you get involved, when I get approached by a club and I get involved, they go, why should I do this when I've been doing this for 3 years or 4 years and I'm 100%? So that's more challenging, trying to get someone to kind of change their mindset and get them to believe in what you do. Do you know what I mean? Well, the junior is well equipped from a very young age and has all the tools in his toolbox to be able to overcome anything, soreness for recovery, knowing how to do the proper warm-ups, knowing how to build up their strength, knowing how to do different phases.
Do you have any questions? So you prefer junior athletes over senior because their seniors come with maybe a limitation, they believe this versus your belief and there's a clash. But are there certain questions you would ask them that helps them to break that belief? So they come into your side a lot sooner and can get those wins faster?
Yeah, look, I look at, I do a lot of wellness. So after every game, 24 hours later, we send a questionnaire out of how players feel. And it says like general soreness, sleep quality and all that. So obviously we know how important sleep is, which correlates to the way you recover, and soreness as well. So a lot of them, like there's some players that I have that they're okay in a day or two after. Okay. But then there's other ones that don't do anything at all that are still sore for 4 days. But then again, it's like, hey, if we do, I know you've never been injured, But if we do A, B, and C, you'll be better off for it, and you'll train better, and you'll be able to perform even better for than you are. So it's just about kind of change their mindset and get them to understand and try something different, and being able to work with them. You know, you don't give them everything all at once. You give them little steps to be able to, for them to slowly start to ask more questions. You know, Cost, I feel better like this. What can I do for this? What can I do for that? And for me, that's when I start to get that buy-in. And then when I see that, I pretty much want to help them out as best as I can, because they're starting to look at their, you know, at their performance, and they want to make themselves better.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, then let's remove the juniors and seniors and let's just classify those as athletes. What about Gen Pop? You know, someone who, you know, me, I work 8 hours a day at a computer, tight hips, got a bit of a belly, want to lose some fat, 5 kilos. You know, would you rather train the amazing Gen Pop Karl or an athlete?
To be honest, I love both of them, because they're both.
I appreciate you too.
Love you too, Carl. What's it called? I like train both, because they're two different people, and it's good because you have different conversations that stimulate different, right? But then again, what a general pop, there's not really much of a difference, to be honest with you, because like what we said earlier before, they still need to be able to know those 7 foundation movements, the athlete and general pop. The only thing that the general pop doesn't need is like speed training, change direction, acceleration, deceleration. So pretty much like 25% of their program won't be the same.
What about though? I run for the bus though.
That's good. Run faster.
Shouldn't, but you've taken out of my program. I'm now just being overtaken by 747 athletes. You know, they're beating me to the bus, and I'm losing my seat.
So if you miss the bus, then we're going to start going through speed training.
Speed. You said speed is king, mate. So, I think I saw a story or a post about you saying, like, you know, a portion of training should be fun. So for Gen Pop, are you just removing 25% because it's like, for an athlete, the discipline of your sport requires this, so we're going to need you to do that. But for Gen Pop, you're like, look, yeah, you've got to squat, you got to bench, you got to do these main movements to align with your goal. Though I'm willing to give 25% variation. So, you know, I just want to keep working my biceps. You're like, it has no relevance, but let's do some bicep curls. Because that's the main difference between the two.
Yeah, 100%. And it just all depends. Like, you know, if you've got, you know, if you're training, you know, like a tennis player or a cricket player, which, you know, which has a lot of rotational work, or a boxer. So you look at that, it's like the general pop. Yeah, they still need it, but in an athlete's program like that, you probably do a little bit more. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And it all depends on their goal as well. You know, what it all comes down to.
Yeah. So a Gen Pop is based off goal, where athlete is more goal and performance of the sport.
Yeah, and it depends what season they're up to as well. You know, if they've got a game in 4 days' time and they came for the first time, I can't, you know, go too hard. You know what I mean? I can't overload them, because my main priority is how they perform out there. My biggest priority is not the gym. If you've got a general pop and all they do is with you, they're in the gym, you know what I mean? We can do time under tension. Do you know what I mean? We can do pull squats. We can do all that. And if they get sore, we give them the recovery protocols, but we know that this is their outlet, the gym.
Yeah. You know, that 2 to 4 days time, we can do it again.
Yeah.
For an athlete, it's like, no, your game's not going to get rescheduled.
No.
From 3 days to 4. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what happens is, imagine if the coach, you know, goes to him, what's wrong with you? Why can't you run? And he goes, I'm sore from the gym. And you know, they throw my name out there. It's probably one of the worst things that could happen. So you want to make sure that you're always on top of it. So like, I've got all my athlete schedules. We know when the games are on. Do you know what I mean? So we monitor, you know, regress, progress, and every week changes, because they get thrown a midweek game on a Wednesday and you see them on a Tuesday, everything has to switch.
Yeah.
So when you've got a general pop, you can be a lot more structured. And even at a club level, you have something planned, and then the game gets rescheduled, or there's a cup game, or there's a competition, or, you know, a kid gets played. They get chosen to play for Victoria, or they get told for this, and then
How often are you having? So, like, I know you said like you're reacting each week, but do you have days where you're just like, I don't have enough time to react or like to respond to every athlete? Like, how do you manage all that?
Yeah, look, I'm very close with all my athletes, to be honest. And the thing is, while I'm close with a lot of my athletes, I'm really close with the coaches as well, because the ones that do come see me privately, I'm actually working at that club, so I pretty much know from the coach firsthand of what's the week will look like.
Yeah.
So I pretty much trying to be one step ahead. So if they text me, I already know that this has been changed or this training nights are done because their game's been reshuffled.
Yeah.
So you always just have to always be on, and not every week is the same.
With gym, you do mobile training, online training, and you've got sports clubs, events, competitions. What's out of all of those? What's the favorite or most enjoyable environment to be in?
To be honest, everything that I do in the gym, it's I get a kick watching like all the athletes that I have perform. Right. And I love being around the team environment. Like I go to all the games that we're in, do you know what I mean? That I'm at, because I see them in the gym. It's like I'm trying to get you better in the gym to be able to perform better at your sport. And if we're training a boxer, because obviously we train a lot of boxers, kickboxers to be able to compete, it's like, cool, we're doing all this hard work in here so you can put it together in the ring. So it's like the end goal, you know what I'm trying to say? So the end goal is what I'm buzzing about. And what that does as well, like when we do like fight nights and someone from the gym's fighting, everyone from the gym gets around it. They all come, creates that community, and everybody supports each other.
Sounds like you're not so fussed about the environment, like where the location is, but it's more like how the community comes together for that celebration of the event, the end of it.
Yeah, look, we've got a very close-knit crew in our gym. Athletes, non-athletes, we're like a family. The 40-year-old, we know we've got an ego-free environment. So the 40-year-old mum and the professional athlete train alongside each other. And there's no, I'm better than her, I shouldn't be here. There's no like, why am I training with him? Everybody supports each other. And that's what it's all about, because none of us are different. We're all the same.
Okay. How have you managed to make that a thing?
Because people have their own individual programs when they come in. Different coaches are taking different people through their session. So, and that's it. And everybody's the same. We have an ego-free family environment.
Do you have a favorite client?
You, Carl, you're my favorite client.
Excellent. Very good.
You should be happy with that.
Hear that, Christy? I'm
Yeah.
Costa's favorite. Those are wondering, Christy is Costa's lovely partner. Obviously, if I disappear by next week, we'll all know what happened.
Boom. See you later.
But I guess, in saying that, like, it's like, they're all my favorite. I guess instead of saying is there a favorite, what would probably be your 3 biggest highlights?
Look,
with all of your athletes, like as you said, like I get goosebumps. I can imagine, like, you got your whole community there. There's a fight ring, your athletes fighting, and then turns around and just sees the whole gym there, and everyone's like, yeah. Like, do you have any, like, what would be your top 3 moments of seeing that it all come together?
mate, it just, honestly, there is so many. Like, if you gave me more time, I'll probably have to reflect over the last
30
years.
seconds. Have a
Ding,
think.
ding, 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 ding. Look, mate, we've got, we've had just now on the weekend, we've had a boy scored a goal for Melbourne Victory to make it 1-1, and put into extra time, which ended up winning in the penalty shootout. I've been training this kid for 8 years now. You know what I mean? And you see him score a goal, and being a fan from the club from a young kid, and being able to put it together, like it's phenomenal. You know what I mean? For him living his dream, and I'm there to, help him out and guide him a little bit. It's no better feeling, putting people in the boxing ring and doing something they never thought they could in their whole life. Do you know what I mean? And having, and even people having a big transformation. I've got a client at the moment that's lost 70 kilos. He's always wanted to
Zero.
7-0. He's on my social media. He's on the verge, of having a boxing fight, and he's always wanted to do that, but he never thought he could. So you look at some like that. He's still got another 15 kilos to go, which will be 85 kilos. Weight loss journey for him to be able to get there. But for them, and for me, is to see people achieve their dreams, and do something that they never thought they were capable of, and being able to push the boundaries with them. There's no better feeling. And when someone says to me, like, I can't do this, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, we're going to make this happen.
Yeah.
100%. Like, we are going to smoke this.
So you've never had any doubts with people?
Nah. The first thing that I try to do is like a bit of a mindset change and mindset shift, just to be able to, get them to understand the process and show them where they're going to go and how we're going to get there. And, if we both agree, there shouldn't be a problem. Obviously, hiccups happen in life and things come up, but the more clearer the picture, and it all comes down to being disciplined and staying the course.
Yeah, wow.
Because I've trained thousands now of athletes, and the ones that should have made it didn't make it. And the difference between them and all the other...
Whoa. Time out. Take a moment. Kosta, my next question. What is the difference between those athletes and others that make it?
The difference is consistency.
Consistency.
That's it. They show up, they do the work, and it doesn't matter how they feel.
But they also need some day, mate. They need some discipline.
That's it.
What is the difference? Okay. What would be your definition of consistency and discipline that really, because, I could be consistent, wake up same time, go to bed at the same time. I show up, I'm consistent in training. That's not going to make it, because you've got to be disciplined in pushing that a little bit harder. So what are those traits, inconsistency and discipline, that when you're watching, you're like, this guy's got it versus this guy hasn't got it, we need to sit down and strategize a bit more?
Yeah, look, a lot of obviously we know the mind is the biggest powerful tool. And when they stop missing sessions, what happened? Why aren't you here? Oh, I don't think I'm good enough. I've been dropped from this team. And it's all about fighting adversity as well. You know what I mean? And being able to keep going when the times are tough. Because the truth is, like, you just got to keep going. There's people always look for the easy way. People always look for a shortcut. But the truth is, there is no shortcuts. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work. That's the truth.
So that's Kate's, as Kate grew up, as a kid, she used to write. That was her biggest thing.
Yeah.
Biggest thing she would write in every diary in school. She get new books. It would always be at the top of her book.
Yeah, right.
She is like, she never felt she was good enough, but she's like, no, I'll beat these guys.
Yeah.
And then she captured me,
Got the star boy.
So yeah, okay. The person. So the A word. So we've got the discipline to just keep like chipping away.
It's like us. What happens when we don't do? When we say we're going to do something and we don't do it, we never move forward.
Yeah.
Right. That's how it is. I'm going to do this. I'm gonna. And there's so many of these. I'm gonna. But never happens.
So, before we jumped on this call, we obviously, you were on fire, ready to go, and then you asked me a few questions. I was like, oh, I don't want to answer that. You've got adversity, you've got the discipline, the consistency, and you're working on the mindset. But at what point does reflection come in? Because there are times when you're at a low point, and the difference between I'm not good enough versus I'm not good enough right now, but if I do these three things, I know I'm going to make it. Or is it your systems that you've built help those juniors and younger athletes to reflect so they can get out of that faster?
Look, I have to reflect. A lot of it's got to do with, like, the kid needs to be self-driven, not driven by the parents. And I've seen that being a very, very common trait. As in, like, the parents are driving the kid to try and live through the kid's dream.
Yeah.
That they never had. So, and I've had some really hard conversations with parents. I'm like, you want your son to be here, but your son doesn't want to be here. Your son doesn't want to play this sport, but you want him to play this sport. There's a difference.
Yeah, wow.
So this is, working with athletes for the last 10 years. I've got, parents, driving the kids into my gym and the kids looking at the ceiling. I know clearly he doesn't want to be here. So I just tell the parents, save your time, save your money, get the kid to do something that he actually wants to do.
That was one of the parents messaging you just then going, I don't accept that.
Yeah, I'm listening to this live. Like, as
Yeah,
long as the kid wants to do it, as long as the kid and he can say, he's like, I want to play, and it comes out of his mouth, that's where you want to be. And I think that parents, you just got to guide them and put them in the best environment as possible.
What about kid that doesn't want to be there, but listen to this, and I think I definitely should put my kid into something like this, like a development program, because it's going to benefit them for the future. Like right now, they don't have the adversity, they don't have the discipline, consistency, and their mindset's just like, I want a game. But if they stuck at this in the future, it'll decrease probability of injury. It'll give them the ability to do more. So what about a parent that's looking ahead, not looking to live through the child, but to help them prevent what they probably, I'm riddled with injuries, I've had pain, I wish I had something like this. What about that type of parent?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, is the kid's sport in the first place? Because the kids that come to me are sporty. Yeah, and that's the first thing that I look at. Because if the parents bring them there, it's good for them. But the kid's like, I hate sport. Like, I don't want to play any sport. So you know that they don't want to take anything very serious either.
So you wouldn't look to make like gamify it or anything. You would just be like, I don't want to waste. It's not that I don't want to waste the time. It's just like, look, I'm not interested in pushing shit uphill because I don't know when it's gonna change.
No, I just look at a different approach. We know how important health and fitness is for everyone, and kids need to be healthy. We live in such a digital world now where everything's behind the internet, behind an iPad, behind a laptop, or behind the TV. So what we try to do is we actually try to put the kids in just to doing our general strength classes, which is body weight. Okay, which is still, it's not tailored training, but it's training to keep them going, right? And we also have boxing classes, which is great for kids. So we try to give them different avenues.
Right. So instead
So
of
we still keep them healthy and fit, just in a different way about it.
Yeah. So you give them that variation, and through doing that, you could probably find something that they enjoy.
That's exactly right. And then we look and we make them do a couple of different stuff. Like we offer yoga sessions, we offer strength and conditioning, we offer boxing, we've got kickboxing, we've got conditioning classes. So we got such a big variety. And then we try to get them to test out as many as they can, different ones. And then at the end of the week, it's like, cool, what did you enjoy the most out of all these? And they go, hey, I really enjoyed that. I really like that. I really like the kicking part. I found the yoga boring, or whatever that might look like. And then we puzzle our program together for them to keep them healthy and fit, because all they want to do is sit behind the iPad.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got parents that want to live through the kids. We've got kids that don't want to do it. We've got variation. Then we've got Gen Pop, Belly Bopper Carl, and then we've got the athletes. And what about your Olympic? You've trained a few Olympians. So
we've trained a lot of high-level athletes. So what I mean by that, we've got players now that are playing in the young Socceroos. We've got cricketers that are playing at the highest level. That's probably the best. We've got AFL people that are playing at the highest level. Football, especially soccer, playing probably at the cream of the crop as well. We've got some of them actually pushing for Socceroos in the near future. That's how we kind of have it.
Nice. Well, what's the difference between an athlete who's got the mindset, the adversity, the discipline, and the consistency, and a high-level athlete?
Like I said, they do the 1%ers. They've got the discipline, right? But are they sticking to everything at 100%? Is their rituals on point? are they getting 8.5 hours of sleep?
8.5 hours.
Or 8 hours of sleep? You know what I'm trying to say? That's
Hey, I want the cheat codes. Give me the 1%ers. So should I get the 8.5 or is 8 good enough? Which
well, for you.
give me several numbers. Give me
For
one.
you, 12 hours.
12 hours.
That's oversleeping. But you get what I'm trying to say, yeah? It's about doing the little small things that are gonna give you, a big game. And same as us. It's that little detail.
You can't just say the little detail on 1%ers and not give us the cheat code, mate. So we got get your 8 hours of sleep, do your mobility after your game day, fill out your check-in form so we know how you're recovering 24 to 48 hours. What other things can we be doing to become the high-level athlete?
So I've got 100-point recovery system
100 point. So you got 100 points. Give it to me.
that
Go.
I follow. So there's different. So like if you wear compression boots, it's like you get 20 points. If you have an ice bath, that's 10 points. If you foam roll, that's 10 points.
Ice bath's only 10 points, mate. The adversity required to jump in an ice bath 3 degrees, like, come on, that's clearly 20.
There's been
Compression boots. Is there a difference in temperature between 11, 7, 3? Or you just like
it just all depends what they have available.
cold shower?
Pardon?
Cold shower?
Yep, I have those in my protocols too. So you got, so you do that, and it's like, how good do they listen? These want to be athletes. They're like, how'd you go with 100-point recovery? And they go, yeah, I got 40 points. You're like, okay, we really did only one thing.
More than 0.
That's right. At least I did something. But
they only did one thing. What are you talking about? I put my boots on and I jumped in a cold plunge.
Well, that's what separates the people that want to go to that next level over time.
Sleep, mobility, cold plunge, boots. What else we got?
You got your flexibility, if you got a routine, mobility. Like there's so many, different, you know what I mean? Like water loading as well. Like I've got a water loading protocol as well that I follow with all my athletes when I'm involved in team sports.
Yep. Hydration. What else?
Yeah, that's a big one as well. And just being able to get, protein and the right intake in after games and after training. Because a lot of
this game.
But what happens is now there's no education. Like there's no education behind it. So what I've seen a lot of my athletes do, they finish training at like 7:30 at night, and then they go home. They don't eat at all. They wake up the next day and they're starving, and they just try to eat whatever they can first thing in the morning, where you should really be having something after training.
Catabolic. Yep. So protein, carbs.
Yep. And
protein aren't the devil. What about fat?
And fat, they're the three things. Obviously, we know, like, this is not a nutritional podcast that we're running, so we don't want to go too hard. But as we know, our good protein sources, our meats, our eggs, and good carbs, you know what I mean? Your rice, your sweet potato, and then you got your good fats as well, avocado, olive oil, things like that are really good, and then educate them about fruit, vegetables, all that, and then start to break it down of what they really need.
Yeah, well, come on. We already got 8 here. So we got sleep, 8 hours. We got mobility, post-workout game. We got boots. We got plunges. We've got protein. We got carbs. We got hydration. We got fats. What 2 other things? Come on, I want 100 points. Give me.
You want 100 points, but I'm saying these points that I have, they're all different. So some are 15 points, some are 20.
I want 2 more. I want to crack high performing athlete aqua aerobic level.
This is going to be the best high performance podcast we've ever done.
This is why it's called Elite Table Talk. We're not called subpar Table Talk. We're going for all of it.
Yeah, and like having the right warm up. Are you warming up the right way instead of you just getting out of the car and then just running straight into a session, which is, I see a lot of this.
Running to your workout is not a warm up.
And it happens all the time, and even your cool downs as well. Like you just grab your bag and you just go home.
Okay, number 10.
That's the 9 that I can think of on top of my head. If you can, I think we've covered pretty much everything.
What's your take on supplementation?
There's a time and place for it. Again, they're called supplements for a reason, right?
Yeah.
They shouldn't be overtaking a diet. And this is the biggest problem that I'm seeing. If you can't get your protein intake in through, food, then you can start looking at a protein resource.
Mhm.
That's what I personally think. A lot of people, like we said, they want the easy way out. They go for a cheat code, and then they start to supplement, their breakfast for a protein shake. Just
Yeah.
like why are you doing that? Have your breakfast that you've got set out. You know what I mean? Whatever that might be. Is it your oats? Is it your eggs? You know what I mean? With avocado, whatever that is. That's more important. That's more nutrients better to have than just having a shake.
Yeah. What's your your personal thoughts on, your athlete finishes game day 7:30, 8 p.m., sleep is at 10. So they get home, if they were to have a big meal, like they were to have the protein and the carbs and the fats that is going to help nourish that body. You've got people saying, don't eat 3 hours before bed because, it'll affect deep and REM sleep. Are you prioritizing more? Now, do the mobility drill, get the food in, still go to bed at 10. Yeah, okay, we might sacrifice a bit of that deep REM sleep, but if we're getting the nutrients in long term, that's more beneficial than 8 hours of sleep.
That's how I go about it, to be honest. We know sleep is probably the most recovery. If we can get them, obviously, if they're playing on a Saturday or a Sunday, if they're especially juniors, they wouldn't really be playing on a Sunday night. So if anything, they'll play on a Saturday night, which probably gives them a sleeping on a Sunday. So they'll still get their quality of sleeping.
Yeah.
Just more of the senior ones that, you got to be mindful of. Because they get, their schedule thrown out of whack. Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. And let's be honest, senior athletes, they're working on a job.
Yeah.
So, you've got to make sure that they hydrate, they eat, so they can wake up and actually be able to perform their everyday job as well and be good for that and focused.
Yeah, right. And this is all done, you do all of this in your own facility, right? So in private?
Yeah.
Would you ever be interested in doing in the public sector?
What do you mean in the public sector?
Like in the public space? So you currently operate private, but would you be looking to go public?
As in what? Feed more clubs, serve more clubs, or what are you trying to?
So I guess, a lot of this, you're doing a lot of this stuff in your facility and then like one-to-ones, but would you do mobile PT. So would you just go do mobile and coach teams, but for free?
We do that. That's part of our service. We actually go to clubs and we run high performance programs at clubs, and we run through the whole team through the wellness that we track. We go to the club and we run their high performance SNC.
Yeah,
we teach that on site.
Oh, so you do a lot of public stuff.
Yeah, it's all public. Yeah, we look after a few teams and then we go there, treat all the injuries that need to be treated. Obviously, we're aligning with the physio that's at the club. And then what we do is we take him through the warm-up, and then all the coach needs to do is just develop his skill session.
And does your team do that every week, or you do it like once a quarter?
It depends who we work with. We work with a couple clubs that are a semi-pro level 3 times a week plus a game. So we're there full time.
Yeah.
We also work with clubs that are more in the lower leagues. We work with them once a week, and then we give them all protocols they need to follow by themselves. It just all depends at what stage and what level they're playing at. The more serious, the more you have to do. But some people are playing more for fun, and I understand this. And they play for fun. They come to the end of their careers. They've got a family with 3 kids. They need to be treated different to someone that's 21 trying to break it to play overseas.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, sounds like a lot there. So for those, really, in summary, it doesn't really matter if you're Gen Pop, an athlete, or a high-performing athlete, or doing aqua aerobics. Shout out to little Pop Belly Carl there. You'll be okay, mate. Really the biggest thing is building a consistency and being disciplined to, keep at it through your mindset, being mindful of what your mindset is, and really just have the adversity to keep moving forward and know that it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, one step at a time is the key. And that, if you're a coach thinking, I'd love to get this part of my group. Reach out to 747 Fitness because they are doing some, complimentary stuff to help clubs and really just build that foundation from junior to senior athletes. So, really educating the way forward for, the new performing athletes. Pretty exciting, mate. I guess in summary, if someone was listening to this, how would you, pep talk, usually you think in the movies the coach does the pep talk. What would be your brave statement or your pep talk for someone who's like, I'd really like to do it, but I feel like I just don't think it's for me. Like I've done it before, it didn't work, or my coach told me I was shit and I just gave up. What would you be saying to them?
Prove him wrong. Prove your coach wrong. Go out there, go get the right resources and make it happen.
Yeah, right.
Because like I said, all the high level athletes that I have, they face a lot of adversity. Adversity is in saying that the coach won't talk to him for 3 months on the bench, no explanation. Yeah. But you know what? They bought their time. And you know what? When their chance came, they took it.
Yeah.
Imagine you're like that. You're thinking, am I ever going to be able to be?
Yeah, well, that would play on your mind hard. However, at 747 Fitness, they have a 9-point recovery system. So in those 12 weeks, you could be leveraging your boots, your plunges, your hydration, your nutrition, getting on top of it all, mobility and warm-up drills. So you, on that 13th week, go out guns blazing. Where all the other athletes who aren't following it, silly them, you'll crush your opponents. Just takes time.
Yeah.
Love it.
Boom.
Boom. And that brings us to the end of the Elite Table Talk with Kosta the King. Yes, that is his surname. He says it's Drakus, but it's all a charade. Till next time, adios, amigos. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into that episode. Hope you really enjoyed it. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel and also to share so we can help more people. Now with your pen, you've probably written down heaps of things, but the things like myself, like there's blank pages, but pages, got lots of notes. What are the top 3 that you got out of today's episode? If 3 is too much, action on one thing and just see how it goes for you for this week. And make amendments and adjustments so you're constantly improving and refining and moving forward in your health, your training, your life. If you ever get stuck, reach out to us at info@vitruvianhealth.com.au. Always here to help. Till next time, adios, amigos.